Need.
I'll do it. Okay, so number one is can you describe your working relationship with Christine? What's your working relationship in terms of?
So yeah, so Kristen hired me in the end of August was my start date. So I've only been working with Kristen since what, 4 months?
Okay.
So, um, so I came into Garden from Thermo Fisher. I think she was looking for a replacement for someone who had left and looking for a while. So I think when she like got me to come in, I think she was very excited. I think she still is excited. I think she was. What I'm trying to say is she was very enthusiastic and continues to reiterate that with me, which I always wonder if she's just happy that I'm someone who knows the skill set and can hit the ground running. Because I think it's my coming to her group has been able to allow her to have a little bit more breathing room. I think she had a lot of things
Got
thrown on her by people leaving. And so I think me coming in, being sort of older, um, and having a lot of experience made it easy for her to dump a lot of stuff on me, which is
got it.
fine, by the way.
Yeah.
That's not a derogatory dump a bunch of stuff, but I feel it now because I feel like I'm trying to hire some more people, and I wish I had some people to dump some stuff on too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
stuff
So
rolls downhill, as you know.
this is very interesting. So you feel supported and empowered by her?
Absolutely. No,
Okay.
I think Kristen. I would almost say, and this is not a negative, really almost overly empowered. Like I think she and it's a garden thing. Compared to other places I've worked, I was basically kind of thrown in the deep end of the pool and given a bunch of stuff, and I, you know, figure it out, figure out the
Got it.
problems, figure out the dynamics, figure out the social work dynamic, work personality dynamics amongst a lot of lingering issues.
Got it. Got it. So, and the way that she supports you is she empowers you, but also gives you the information that you need to do your work, or what's the
It's,
best way to describe her empower mode?
I
What is
believe
the thing that you appreciate the most out of her? Just
I generally think she's pretty transparent
okay.
um, from a communication standpoint. I think she communicates things absolutely as early as possible, maybe even earlier than maybe she is supposed to. If someone was telling her like, okay, this is a plan and we're gonna communicate this more openly shortly, I think she's very clear to openly discuss that. So I'm available. I am aware of what's
Got it.
going on from a back story plan point of view, and I'm not wasting my time when the plan is going to change. But she knows, and I don't know. She's very clear about giving me a heads up as soon as possible.
Got it.
Um, it was a little shocking to me, honestly. Like, I'll use a story. So, pretty quickly after I joined, Aline, who was reporting into Kristen, who left just recently, about a month and a half ago, uh, was very much a key technical feature of our small group at that time. And Kristen very quick, like as soon, even before, I think Kristen was told by Aline a day before that she was leaving. Like within an hour of Aline saying she was leaving, Kristen's like, we need to have a walk, and we walked and talk a walk, and like, guess what? You've been leaning on Aline for a lot of technical support. Well, she's going to go away in 2 weeks. I was like, wow. So it was very quick. There was
Yeah.
no like hiding or protection of like, oh, does this have a bad effect on I'm saying this from Kristen's point of view,
Yep.
my leadership because Aline's leaving, etc. No.
So she went
She
into
very
a, solutions mode. Let's put it away. So
yeah, it's like let's just it's going to happen. There's no point in
yeah.
protecting anyone from not knowing about it. So it's she did obviously tell me like it wasn't public and from Aline's confidentiality point of view, but I knew it was occurring, so I knew that I
Got it.
needed to be planning ahead for it.
Awesome.
So that's pretty good. Another one was I think so. Kristen hired me, and now I report directly like parallel to her. So I don't report to Kristen anymore. I'm reporting to Sven, Kristen's boss. So she kind of alluded to this is going to occur. This sort of like me and this group that I inherited. Well, guess what? It's going to get plucked out and be parallel pretty soon. Like,
Yeah.
and even before it happened, I think like 3 weeks before it actually happened, I was aware that it was going to be
Got
occurring.
it. Got it. Got it. So
So,
basically, you became a peer now.
so I'm a peer
Uh,
now.
okay.
Um, and yeah, so, and I don't ever feel from Kristen ever any sort of judginess by that. Like obviously she spent a lot of time to hire me
Yep. Yep.
or to find someone like me to then hire me, as among other people, and then to have them plucked out from me under her to someone else. Yeah, I think she's very fluid in
Got it. Got it.
her. Yeah, there's no. I
Yeah.
do not feel any pain or hurtness
Okay.
by that. I think we're okay. It's very good as peers.
Awesome. Awesome. So when you think of her, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? How are you describing her in 1 or 2 words?
Uh, she's incredibly intelligent. That's 2 words. I'm going to give you some more words because I can't just use a one-word thing. My working vocabulary is not large enough to find a good word. One thing that strikes me is there's a large vocabulary of many words that I don't typically use. So I would say eloquent,
Okay.
or, you know, yeah. And then technically speaking, yeah, she's incredibly intelligent, uh, and is open to realize that she comes from a research standpoint, not a strong development standpoint.
Got it. Got it. Would you consider that key strengths or key strengths like self-awareness that she is a
Self-awareness or knowing her weaknesses. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We've had this. This is typically a very frequent discussion in our one-on-ones. When we have one-on-ones. It's like she understands a game that has to be played within Gardens, but at the same time, she's very open and transparent to be like, I don't know the answer. I really don't. I don't have any
Yeah.
experience, and
Yeah.
I'm asking you what your thoughts are on this, because she just doesn't know. So I
Got it.
think that transparency is very good.
So the strength is transparency. She knows the business. And you mentioned something else about understands what's going on in the organization. Is that how you describe it?
Yeah,
Or
she is one of the people who has been here long enough to understand the personalities, politics,
got it.
historical politics. So she's a great resource for that. And I think she jokes quite a bit that her continued value is based on her historical knowledge, not based on her ability to think. But because she knows all the backstories and where all the dead bodies are.
Yeah. um, what do you think that she needs to do in order to have more impact in her role?
So I think one thing that has affected her in the past is in the Gardent mentality of going fast and taking chances. She's constantly exercising her brain and her academic mindset, and that comes into conflict with the design control, regulatory, and quality groups. And I think she's burned some bridges there, because it's been a battle, a negotiation battle between them. So I think she needs to find ways to be more effective in rebuilding those bridges. I
Rebuilding
think
the bridges.
I think she's burned some of those bridges in trying to push things faster based on direction from management above. And I think in some ways they put her out there to be somewhat sacrificial to get these things done. And if she pushes people's buttons the wrong way and pushes the envelope about what's possible, and they fight back, and that has burned their relationship a little bit. But that's what management's been pushing. I think she needs to be more effective to sort of build up those relationships a little bit more.
Specifically with two
Quality and regulatory. More so with quality probably than regulatory.
Got it. And
she tends to I think she has tended to overextend herself in a lot of different directions in the past.
Yeah.
And
What do you think is that? What drives that that she tends to overextend that? What do you think is behind that
She
behavior?
wants to, she's trying to she's very company centric, not from so much a political sense, but from a get stuff done, think about new solutions. She'll take on a lot of responsibility,
Yeah.
which is good. Absolutely. It's just, I think she definitely gets caught up in a lot of responsibility, a lot of work, and a full appreciation for how much time it's going to take to get done. And that tends to, taking on a lot of those responsibilities, a lot of that work, and not fully appreciating how long it's going to take. It just keeps building and building and building
Yeah.
and building because the amount of time to get it done is longer than she maybe had expected. And she takes on something else, and now it just keeps adding and adding. But more things are being put on her plate, and fewer things are not being taken off in the same rate.
Got it. Do you think that is there there are a couple of things here? Is that she overextends herself because she doesn't have the ability to say no or put boundaries, or she overextends herself because she thinks that she can do everything?
So I think in the 4 months that I've worked with her, I feel like she's doing and making an active effort to say no.
Okay.
I've seen her significantly push back about things, and she's not one who's going to get pushed over by a bunch of people. I think in the past she had a harder time saying no. I think she's worked pretty hard at saying no. I know this because she's talked to me about working on it herself and reminding me to continue to exercise that muscle to say no, because she knows how she's gotten pushed around by this and overextend herself, and she's constantly reminding me, don't get burned out, learn to say no. This is the garden problem, and we need to all work on saying no more often. So I know she's working on it. She has set a precedent in the past of being able to go in a lot of different directions. So a lot of people come to her for someone who will put themselves out there to solve the problem. So to your previous question, is it saying no, or is it because she wants to do everything? I think she's shown and in the past not been able to say no, and has gone in the direction of trying to do everything, and hence people come back to her to do more things, and now she's exercising more of the no, we can't do that, no. So does that
no, it totally makes sense. And this change of behavior, is it recent, or when do you start?
So like I said, I've how when you come into a new role, you start observing people.
Yeah.
So initially I saw her doing a lot of things. I would say I became more observant to her saying no maybe about a month and a half after starting, so middle of September.
Got it.
But that said, I don't have a long time period to trend that previous to that. So it could only have been me becoming more observing it more in myself, enough opportunities to see it, not that it wasn't going on earlier.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. So I'm trying to put a one word to the one thing that she could do to have more impact, positive impact in her role. What would it be?
2 words: hire and delegate.
Hire and delegate. So scale her leadership style. Is that
that you could say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what would be the objective of hiring and delegating?
Well, amongst the things she has right now, to give herself time to think.
Okay, that's what I was into it. Okay, so she needs to have more time to think about
the big picture strategically, not being firefighting mode all the time.
Okay.
So if she wants to become a better leader, think more strategically, she needs time to think a little bit more strategically, or be able to think about all the different options and all the different outcomes of different strategic decisions and how it would play. And I think she could grow more if she had a little bit more bandwidth to do that.
Because she's now just in the firefighting and firefighting. There's no time to.
Yeah.
One thing that I have experienced with her, and I want to see if that is your experience too, and a couple of other people have expressed the same thing, is that she is not comfortable with silence. In other words, that she needs to have an answer for everything. Is that your experience? Is that?
No, I totally agree. I would, yeah, absolutely. I've seen her, she has a hard time like just letting things go.
Letting things go, or?
Like if there's a conversation and something is, maybe she has inherently wanted to win the conversation or win the argument. So she always kind of wants to get in a last word, especially if it's confrontational or argumentative. And, I don't know. She doesn't like silence. So irrespective of everything we said, when we're having a conversation with her, she like stopping and letting it be quiet and thinking about what someone said.
Doesn't happen.
No, she'll fill in it with words. So continue talking. But she's incredibly smart. So like that, she's not like just making up stuff and just babbling. Too much. It's. Do
you think that the way she expresses herself is too verbose? In other words, it's like she has a lot of words to say.
Yeah. So like kind of I was implying that before. She has like I said, a large vocabulary with words that many people wouldn't typically use. They're just esoteric adjectives.
Yeah.
She has a very good, greater than the New York Times crossword puzzle list of words that she has that she can pull from and know exactly how to use. And some people may be put off by that.
Yeah, and the objective of that, or the purpose of that, is defending or justifying.
The way the words she uses?
Yeah, like, when she goes into that mode, is it always, your perception, is it justifying things or is defending things? How would you describe it? It's more, she works more in the justification, things are not going well. She goes into defensiveness, or you goes into justifying. What's your perception on that?
Depends on the day. I've had conversations where I feel like she's okay and she's in a justifying, like, this is how Garden is, this is how this role is, this is how the work that I'm doing is. And other times I feel like she's been hurt a little bit that day and is a little bit more defensive. I've seen both. I can't.
Neither one is like dominant. Let's put it that way.
I would say in meetings, in group settings, I definitely think she's more defensive.
Okay.
I've seen her in core team meetings. I would say she's more defensive than justifying.
That was actually going to be my next question. Is like, how does she behave when she is going to a defensive mode, or when she feels that she's feeling an attack? What's the behavior?
She puts her head down. She tends to flip her hair. And she is obviously appropriate and polite, but I've seen in the last day or two, and I'm trying to remember the exact conversation yesterday in the Omni core team meeting, but I definitely felt there was an argument between her and a professional argument, but an argument nonetheless between her and the head of the project management organization about expectations, timelines, and delays, and who was responsible for it. And I definitely thought she was being defensive towards that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the technical team is reporting into Kristen, the pressure is coming from a third party, who the PMO person is, Amber, who I'm probably sure you talked to at some point in time, is dealing with. So there was definitely a conflict about what AZ wants and how Kristen's team can deliver it, and the things that are delaying them building certain specialized reagents and parts, and how it's going to be delayed and delaying the entire process, and how they're annoyed by that. So it gets pushed around. It's like, who's responsible for why this delay is happening? Oh, it's tech dev. Oh, it's Kristen. I think she's become pretty sensitive to that, because that's been a reoccurring story over and over and over again. And she's told me to that me before I even joined the group, which is why I said hire and delegate is also part of my.
Yeah. So you think that when things don't go right, she takes it personal?
Not now. I mean, I don't think she might internally be taking it personally.
Yeah.
Like it's somewhat of a personal attack on her. And this has to do with the interaction with people she's dealing with. But I've seen her like saying, like, this is how long it takes to do this. She's driving back to, this is what we have to do it right. We need to do it this way. Let's try to change the paradigm we're doing at Garden. Instead of doing it sort of half-assed, let's do it right. And it's going to take us this amount of time. And she's kind of dropping back into facts or the expectation of something like a fact.
Okay.
I don't feel like she's never ever seen an outburst from her as if she was being personally accused of something.
Got it. What is the one thing that she could actually do in order to help you achieve your goals? Now that you're moving into a peer, what's the one thing that you will like her to do for you to be successful?
I mean, like I said, for me, the challenges I'm having currently are a lot of cleanup. There's a lot of, maybe poor decisions that were made in the past that are now being seen as being short-sighted. And I'm doing a lot of cleanup and trying to, redo some of the things that were proposed in the past by Kristen and others. So I'm not sure from that standpoint. She's been very helpful in regards to saying, this is the decision we made 5 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, and this is how we got to this place. Like I said before, one of her greatest values is reminding everyone why we did something we did that might look stupid in retrospect, but that's why we did it. And she's good at reminding people of that. So I think she's been very helpful in defending that way. I mean, she's been incredibly helpful in so many different ways. She's been throwing me all kinds of candidates to try to hire. I'm trying to hire. I have 7 recs to open myself. So I think she's been generally helpful. I feel like I've just inherited a lot of some of the historical Garden baggage and trying to clean up.
Yeah.
So I don't know what she could do now per se that she's not doing. She's throwing more people to help and stuff. So I'm feeling pretty good, honestly, from a Kristen standpoint.
Awesome. When you said, I inherited this, this was under Kristen's.
Correct. Yes.
Right. How do you think you should feel when say I inherited the thing or this that is not actually working? I'm just curious.
I mean, like I said, I'm not judgmental about it either. Yeah. I'm old enough now to have some empathy to understand, like, we did stuff stupid, or we did something stupid in the past for whatever reason. It was short-sighted. I've seen some of those short-sighted decisions in the short time I've been here and seen how they've been put forward and then walked back. So that's what people like jovially talk about, is that's gardens, right? That's kind of how it is. So yeah, I don't feel generally, every so often I get a little frustrated and be like, God damn it, why did Kristen or whoever do this? but it's like only in it's not like it's not like I'm
Yeah.
holding a lot of deceit and stuff there. It's like
Awesome.
they did a lot of dumb stuff. We all accept it. Kristen's been very transparent about, this is what we knew at that point in time. This is what we tried to do. It's probably stupid now or then, and
Yeah. Do
so.
you, the last question that I have, well, actually, two more questions. One is, do you see any friction between her and somebody else that might have an effect on her performance?
So I've seen a little bit of friction with her and John Latham, who was one of my peers when I was reporting into Kristen. I still consider him a peer. And they know that it might be historical because he's also a technical person on the Omni project that Kristen's. So he's worked with her much longer than I have,
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard verbally from him there's a bit of historical angst and conflict amongst the two of them. So I don't know all the details, and I'm not taking sides. She's referred to me earlier that her and Sven have been continually argumentative in meetings and such. I don't think any of it. I mean, I've been in a lot of other places where the meetings have been much more argumentative, much more uncomfortable than
Yeah.
whatever their arguments are. So I don't see them as that bad. I'm not that hypersensitive to these kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, she's in the middle of a lot of things. She's been here long enough to have some baggage.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so yeah, Sven and Tom and John. Who else? A little bit with Amber, but that was.
But it's nothing that is like, wow, this relationship is really having a toll on her. It's like, the normal stuff, but not necessarily something that is like too obvious or too.
So what I have seen so far from Kristen is a pretty good armor,
Okay.
So I've not seen too many chinks in her armor, socially, professionally. So, like I said, I haven't seen her, and I don't, like I said, I haven't seen her long enough to see her sweat or get annoyed or really get, yeah.
Got it. So imagine, like 4 months from now, 6 months from now, and then what will signal to you that her leadership style is changing for the better? What will you be looking for?
I think she might dial back a little bit of her self-deprecating. She's a little bit self-deprecating at times, which is a fine line between like honesty and being a little bit personally internally critical and negative. I think she does a pretty damn good job in the circumstances she's placed in. So I would wonder if some of her new hires that she tries to bring in may be slightly put off by that for someone who's maybe older than they, and they're looking for a leader, a stronger leader. That might seem like a weakness.
Got it. Yeah, I can see that from her. Yeah, I saw that. I experienced that.
That's one thought. I personally am in a similar personality, so I see it as sometimes a weakness myself. So I look at it, but I also think it's a strength to be sort of honest.
Yeah.
But maybe not communicating it so openly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that with a little bit more people, she's as you know has had like a revolving door of reports coming in and leaving her group. I would hope that with a few of her new hires, they stay longer, and that gives her some more stability to get some more confidence in the continuousness of what she's doing.
Why do you think that that's the source of that revolving door? It has to do with her or the situation, or what's
I have, like I said, I've only been at Garden 4 months. I would have to say I am and I came from a place that had a pretty high attrition rate as well. Um, there is something to be said about the relative pressure that the organization puts on her organization, and I think it's been um, worse, better, or no, sorry, much worse in the past. She tells me it's gotten quite a bit better, but I know from talking to other people, like basically, like even the name of her group, they called it the bucket because everything gets dumped in their lap. You know, and I think you referred to that earlier about like her ability to say no versus, you know, saying no because she wants to have the answer versus not being able to say no, and like why so much get laid on her. I think that's happened in the past, and that's really stressed the organization as a whole because there's, you know, not enough bandwidth, too many asks, not enough no's, and it's really beaten down on a lot of the people in the group.
Got it.
And so that comes back, maybe that's down to her leadership. If she's, you know, I guess you're helping me to like think my way through how things have been. I actually haven't sat down myself to think about it organizationally, but yeah, there's a lot of things that piled on to tech dev and her organization, and without a lot of pushback, it continues to be things that were broken to start with continue to be broken. Those are the things I have inherited in some ways. So
yeah. Awesome. That's all I got. Unless there is something else that you would like to share, or if I ask the right questions, what do you think?
I'm trying to think about how Kristen can be more successful in the next 4 months. Yeah. No, I think one thing I'm challenged with myself with Garden, and maybe she's working with this herself. We haven't talked about it. You need to almost be okay with the ambiguity of Garden because there's so many expectations and plans about things becoming obsoleted and being replaced by this and being replaced by this, and then they don't necessarily come to pass as fast as people expect them to be. And I'm wondering if that is adding to some of her frustration.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think she just turned 40, right? So she's dealing with that baggage too, I think, as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just turned 50.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that's all I got, my friend. But I wanna
thank you, Luis.